Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Real Estate Unfiltered. I'm Marlee Russell and I'm a real estate agent based out of Roanoke, Virginia. I'm pretty psyched for our guest today. Haven't had someone on that focuses on the insurance side of things, and he's also a JMU Duke alum. So without further ado, Bill Meador, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. It's like a Monday on a Tuesday. We kind of were discussing that earlier.
That's right. Our days seem to run together.
Yep, especially in the holiday time frame, it never fails.
For sure.
But thank you so much for joining and raising your hand to be on it.
Yeah.
Very excited to have you on here, and you kind of touch on another side of the industry that I feel like not a lot of folks know of, besides like the big insurance companies, like more of the local feel. Um, so that kind of makes me think of the very first question I always love asking. How did you fall into this, especially with your background in business and marketing? Did you always know that you wanted to go into insurance?
No,
Really?
absolutely had no idea. I probably couldn't even tell you what insurance was coming out of college. I had a business and marketing degree coming out of JMU, and I knew I wanted to be in sales of some sort. I just had no idea what I actually wanted to sell. And I had a couple of job offers. I was at first, honestly, dead set on moving to Northern Virginia.
Oh,
I,
really?
I did an internship there the summer after my junior year. Loved that area. Dead set on moving there. And to be honest with you, I had a couple job offers
Hmm.
to move up there, but
There's a lot of opportunity up there for sure.
it is. It is. The thing that held me back is obviously the cost of living up there.
Hmm.
And the offers I got, it was going to be a situation where I'd probably have to live with 4 or 5 roommates
Yep.
and live paycheck to paycheck to make ends meet, every single week. So I took a step back. I said, you know what? I'm going to move back to Roanoke, move back in with my parents for a little bit.
Hmm.
So I really figured out what I wanted to do. And as I mentioned before, I knew I wanted to be in sales, and we have a family friend who is a local headhunter for sales jobs,
Okay.
and I ran into her just randomly one day and was telling her my dilemma. I hadn't found a job yet. I wasn't even sure if I wanted to stay in Roanoke at this point,
Yeah.
and I told her I wanted to be in sales, but I had no idea what I wanted to sell. But I was driven. I knew that if I worked on, either a base salary plus commission or just a commission structure, I was a go-getter. I have that go-getter mentality that I would succeed. And she looked at me and she said, well, if you have you ever thought of insurance? And I said, no, like, to be honest with you, no. What are you talking about? What is it? Because we don't learn that in
Yeah.
high school or college. I mean,
Mhm.
maybe they do now, but back then, it's not like we took an insurance class or knew what it was.
There's a lot
And
of classes that I feel like we should learn in high school that we don't.
right,
That should be one of
exactly.
them.
Right. And so I'll never forget this. She looked at me and she said, well, if you're going to sell something, you might as well sell a product that everybody needs and everybody has to have. And on top of that, everybody's always looking for, a better deal, a better price, a better coverage. And I'm like, you know what, that makes a lot of sense. That kind of
Yeah.
resonated with me. And so I took a chance, got a job here locally with Liberty Mutual, and ended up working my way kind of up the chain with them for 7 years. I got to a
Wow.
point where I became kind of reached a plateau where I could either go into management, but I kind of reached a plateau in terms of my sales potential and earnings.
Mm.
And at that point, I was 30 years old, and I had heard of other agencies called independent agents or brokers, as you will,
Mhm.
had the capability to represent multiple insurance companies. And for me, that was such a game changer at the time because working at Liberty Mutual was a great job, great opportunity, but I only had one product to sell. And if my
Mhm.
product wasn't competitive from a pricing standpoint or from a coverage standpoint, I lost the sale. And it got to be where, maybe out of every 10 people I talked to and quoted, I'd be lucky to sell maybe 2 or 3 of them. So it was a long grind, a day-to-day grind. And I got to the point where I was like, you know what? I'm tired of having to turn people down because my prices are too high or I don't have the right amount of coverage that they need. And so that's when I just took the leap of faith and had that conversation with my wife, like, hey, look, we are going to go from a 6-figure salary to me earning 0. And it was probably the worst timing you could have imagined because she was 6 months pregnant with our first child at that
Oh
time.
man. So
And
was
so that
her
was
head kind of spinning a little bit? She was like,
right. So that
what are
was
you
a fun
doing?
conversation to have, right? And I'll never forget when I got up and running in August of this was 2012. I didn't have any money to afford an office, right? I didn't have any money to have any employees. And so I bought this $20, probably 500-pound steel desk, like the ugliest desk you could imagine. But I got it for $20. I had about 4 of my friends lift it up, carry it into my basement. I had my little laptop and I bought a little cheap phone. And that was it. I mean, that's all. And I had a printer, right? That was actually given to me by my brother-in-law, who still kind of makes fun of me today because I kind of stole it from him.
Well, and
I
you still
never
use it today, right? You still use the same printer? Okay.
Yep. So that's a sore subject. That's a sore subject. But anyway, so that first year, honestly, the first 2-3 years, I mean, it was just such a grind, and it was good in a sense with the timing because I had all the motivation in the world to kind of get up and running because I had to. We had a
There's
baby.
no other option. Yeah.
All of my trainers at the time would come to my house and train me and offer to like babysit my 1-month-old or 2-month-old. I mean, it was pretty wild thinking back on it. So it's pretty hard to believe that was 10 years ago. But
so you're from the area, and I was doing some research, stalking, whatever you want to call it. And you went to Cave Spring. So do you feel like whenever you were finally like branching out on your own, you left Liberty Mutual and you started your own thing, was it harder or easier to gain business? You feel like?
so being local and from the area, I think gave me a huge advantage. Because between myself and my family, and I mean, my family's from Roanoke, we just had so many connections in our area that, I mean, I had just the best support system you could imagine. In any type of sales job, obviously your go-to is going to be talking to your friends and family first, right? And trying to sell as many people as you can from your inner circle. But then when those people run out, then what? And that's where a lot of people fail is they get excited and they sell all their friends and family. But then if they're not asking for those referrals and they're not getting business, or they don't know how to get business outside of their inner circle, then you're destined to fail. But for me, obviously I had those connections, and I'll be honest, like the training that I went through at Liberty Mutual kind of set me up for success. Even to this day, it was such a rigorous training. They really taught me, kind of the art of the cold call and the art of walking into somebody's business and just introducing myself and providing value.
Yeah.
So, and then you got to also have thick skin. You always got to not be scared to hear no, because we hear no a lot,
All the time.
in our industry. I'm sure you do too. And
Oh yeah.
You can't let that get to you, and you just got to keep grinding, to be honest.
No, and there's such a correlation with that of what you said of like, you go to your family and friends first, and then it's like, okay, you have to ask for the referrals. It's the same way with real estate agents too. Like my first year, it was all like, all right, talking to all my family members, all my friends. It was kind of a joke of like one of my cousins was like, are you just selling everyone's like all your parents and like grandparents' homes? Like, and I was like, yeah, I've already done that. Now I need to move on to the next level. I was
Right.
like, now all the cousins now, and now all the, friends of cousins. But you brought up a good point of it's really tough. I don't know, maybe it wasn't for you, but for me, it's tough asking for those referrals because I also don't, it's like a fine line in my mind. I don't ever want to bug, but also you have to ask that. Like
Right.
that's how you're going to continue getting business and whatnot. Um, but you brought up another funny point that I'm going to kind of jump to a little bit because my background, and I think I told you this whenever we first met in person several months back, that my background is actually in recruiting. So that kind of set me up for being told no a lot, having crazy cold calling stories of being like, just wild stuff that I probably could do a whole episode on that, but we're not talking about recruiting. We're talking about real estate. So, but that brings me to my next question of what is, first thing to come to mind, good or bad, like the most memorable cold calling experience that you have? Because we all
That's
have
a,
it.
you know what? That's such a good question. And to be honest with you, I purposely didn't really look over your PDF with potential questions
You wanted to
until
be surprised.
because I wanted it to be like as truthful and raw as it could be, right? And
Unfiltered.
I have so like in my first couple years, at Liberty, I mean, I was just fresh out of college. I was a young kid. I was stupid. I didn't know what was going on. I was still learning the insurance game and how it all worked. And
Mm-hmm.
because of that, I was the subject of, a lot of the older sales reps playing jokes on me constantly. Right. And they knew as a young kid, I would get super excited if I had pretty much a guaranteed sale, and I'll never forget just one story that comes to mind real quick. I was in my first year. This is probably like 2005, '06 maybe. And I get a lead. And when you get a lead at Liberty, it's great. It's a hot lead. It's not necessarily a cold call. You call them because they're wanting a quote from you.
Yeah.
And you have the potential to sell them a policy. Well, I get this lead on my desk, and all it had was a name on it. It said, call Ruby at this number. It didn't have a last name or anything. It just said call Ruby.
Wait, did you call my grandma? My grandma's name is Ruby. So
No. It gets better. It gets better. So I'm on the phone, and as I'm calling this number, I notice people start kind of hovering around me, and I'm like, what's going on? So I call this number. I said, hey, can I please speak to Ruby? And the lady on the other end said, sir. And I said, yeah. She said, I think somebody's playing a joke on you. And I said, what do you mean? There's a lady named Ruby who called in who wanted an auto insurance quote. Is there somebody there by that name? She said, sir, this is the Mill Mountain Zoo and Ruby is our tiger. So I was like, great. Thanks, guys.
That's incredible, though.
So that's just one of probably dozens of stories that kind of stand out in my mind.
Oh my gosh.
Was
that kind of like the character building of like the rookie in the office that you kind of had to go through a little bit?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yep. So I took that torture, my first year, but luckily I was able to kind of dish that out as I gained seniority, within the company. But yeah, that was pretty funny.
That's incredible. Oh my gosh. But did you end up selling insurance to the lady who at least answered the call? Or
Unfortunately not. I was so taken back at what was going on with the situation. We all just kind of laughed about it. And that would have been an even better ending to the story, though.
That would have been a funny follow-up call being like, all right, I know the deal now, but do you have any need?
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. That's incredible. So I guess kind of transitioning into another one of these questions. So when you were first starting out, everyone, is making a ton of mistakes, and because you're new, you don't know what you're doing, and you're always asking questions of like more senior folks in the industry and stuff. But what is one mistake that you feel you've learned the absolute most from in your experience doing this?
Going back to what we had mentioned earlier about referrals and asking for referrals, right? I think everybody kind of falls victim early in their careers about not asking. And there's so many different reasons why we don't ask for referrals. I think for me, it was you would get so excited to make that sell and you forget, and it's like you make the sell and you're on to the next one, and you kind of keep that ball rolling. And there were so many missed opportunities in my first couple years of business where I didn't ask for referrals, and there was probably a little bit of me being, scared or shy to do that. So there's really and truly an art behind it, and I didn't learn that until several years down in my career. And this is something I preach on to my agents today, because I'll catch all of us all the time where we'll just be quick to hang up the phone. And we talk a lot about trying to squeeze as much juice out of every client as we can and not miss out on potential opportunities. So for us, whether that be asking for referrals, or maybe we are selling a home insurance policy to somebody, but are we also offering to quote their auto insurance at the same time? And then if we sell the auto and home insurance, they're getting that multi-policy discount, which is great for both parties. But then are we asking for life insurance?
Yep.
And then are we asking, hey, what's your job title? What do you do for a living? Are you a business owner? Can we quote your business insurance? Just asking those extra questions, just taking a step back and just looking at the whole picture, and not trying to rush through not trying to treat every person as a transaction, and treat them as a true relationship, and build upon that, because that's what at the end of the day leads to those referrals.
1,000%. That makes all the difference in the world, because no one wants to be treated like they're just another button seat or another transaction or another sale. No one wants to, be that and feel that way. They want to have a relationship. And there was something I was reading the other day that it's like people don't give business to people that they don't have a relationship with. It's really hard for them to do that. They want to have some type of rapport or relationship with them. And I mean, I know if roles are reversed, I want to have kind of that good vibe, good feeling about the person I'm working with. Because insurance, real estate agent, lending, these are all big factors that go into this entire process of buying or selling a house. And it's not anything small. It's usually like the biggest asset someone is ever going to, have in their life, whether they're selling or buying it. So having that group of people around that are the specialists in the industry that you have a good rapport with, I feel like makes the biggest difference, and then also translates into getting those referrals. What is your advice, I guess, like how do you transition that call from like once you've made the sale and everything and you've kind of gone through like the life insurance, the home insurance, the car insurance, all that stuff. How do you ask for that referral? Like what is the one piece of advice that you could give a new, person in your line of work, and it kind of works in my line of work too, transitioning and asking for that referral without it being like weird or awkward?
Yeah. And I think a lot of it is kind of like a gradual transition for us. Like we talk a lot about, the same way we ask for online reviews and Google reviews. You want to do it when the person is at the happiest, where they are, maybe they're just signing the paperwork and they're thrilled with your service, or they might compliment you on, what a good job that you've done. That's the time to do it. You don't want to wait, 2, 3, 4 weeks down the road, because at that point you've lost their interest, you've lost their attention. So what we do is we set people up. We'll let them know, we set that expectation that after we close a sale, they're going to get several communications from us, whether it be through email or text. And one of those is going to be a thank you video, that we've created that is just a generic, but it's very personalized to that person, thanking them for their business, leaving them a link to leave us a Google review. And what we've found is if you just ask somebody to leave you, hey, if you don't mind taking just 30 seconds out of your time, you're going to get a quick email from us that's going to have a direct link to leave us a quick 5-star review. We would really appreciate if you've enjoyed working with us, if you've enjoyed the savings and the service that we provide, would you take a minute just to do that? in my years of asking for that, I have not once had somebody tell me, no, we're not going to do that. We're good. Thanks anyway. You know, people always say yes. And whether they do it or not, you know, it's 50-50.
Yeah.
But they always agree to do it. They say, yeah, we'll be happy to do it. And the same goes for asking for referrals. It's, you know, do you, you know, happen to have any friends or family members or coworkers or anybody that you know of right now who could benefit from the services that we just provided you? Do you know anybody that, you know, maybe complaining about their auto insurance rates have recently gone up, or they're sick and tired of dealing with an online company or a 1-800 number? Like, please don't keep us a secret. Like, referrals are the greatest compliment that we could have, you know, from you as a client.
Oh yeah.
Just bringing that up, and not only at the point of sale, but periodically as well. Staying in constant contact and communication with your clients is also key, because I mean, you know the saying, right? Out of sight, out of mind. You know, if you're not keeping in touch with your clients, that's another huge mistake that a lot of people I see make in sales.
I feel like that also kind of goes into with marketing too, because you might have, you know, a little tagline on your Instagram or something. But and you might be like randomly posting about it, but if you don't constantly do it, I think the stat, and I'm probably going to get it wrong, but I think it takes between like 7 and 21 touches for them to really correlate. Okay, Marlee is a real estate agent. Okay, Bill is an insurance agent. For them to like remember it, and like even if it's in a conversation with a friend and someone's like griping about like, you know, their insurance went up and stuff like that, they can immediately be like, insurance. All right, Bill. I need to give them his info. But I feel like with marketing, it's the same way. But a lot of people, I know I was guilty of this. Like 6 months ago, I'm like, I don't want to bug people. I don't want to be posting too much and being annoying with people because I don't know if they're following me for that. But I kind of just need to get over it. And I made a goal for myself in October. I'm like, I'm going to post every day. I'm going to post every day something either funny or informational and educational about, or, you know, just showing what house I'm showing, to keep top of mind. But I don't know. Do you feel, I feel like I see you posting all the time. You're always having events. I always see your stuff on Facebook. How has that kind of evolved for you with your marketing?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of nailed it. You gotta be patient with marketing. You can't expect success overnight. You got to play the long game. And I might be jumping ahead here, but one of your, you know, you're asking, one of the questions is, what advice do you give people who are brand new to the industry, to the sales industry? And whether that be in insurance or real estate or any type of sales job, in my opinion, you got to be willing to take risks and be patient with your marketing and be willing to try new things to stand out. And so one thing I want to commend you on, I mean, with you doing this podcast, I mean, that's one thing you're doing that sets yourself apart from all the other agents in the area. And I think it's great. Like, I see your daily posts. You do such a better job on, you know, posting on a daily basis and putting out just good content. I need to probably take lessons from you, to be honest with you, because I'm not the best at that. I'm good in my head about coming up with content, but like putting it into like graphic designs and doing all the fancy videos and reels and stuff, I'm still kind of old school in that regard. I have a lot to learn in that.
I love all that stuff, and I will tell you now, Canva is my absolute best friend, and it's super user friendly. So I can definitely help you with that.
I'm slowly but surely learning Canva, but yeah, it's a struggle. Anything technology with me tends to be a struggle. Like, I feel like I come up with the greatest ideas, but like putting them out there is another story. So yeah, I commend you for all you're doing, because, you know, it might not pay off today, it might not pay off tomorrow, but 6 months, a year down the road, people are going to gradually catch on, and they are going to think of you when it comes to real estate.
Thank you.
And that's kind of what happened to me and kind of evolved over time. It takes a while. And, I think people new to the industry are just kind of scared to put themselves out there and be different. And like for me, I want to stand out. I want to be different and set myself apart from the competition, because I know in my mind, the average insurance agent here in Roanoke is 50 or 60 years old, riding the wave out to retirement. And they're not too concerned with marketing and putting out content for the public. They're just trying to nurture their existing book of business and get to retirement.
Well, because they already have it built up. You're still trying, like you already have it built for sure, more so than what I do, but you're still trying to grow it too.
Yeah, I'm still in an active growth phase. I'm 10 years in having my own agency, and I'm still actively growing because there's such an opportunity. There's no other insurance agents in this area that are hardly doing anything social media wise, or reaching out to the masses, or doing Facebook ads, or doing videos, or Instagram, and I see that as an opportunity, especially to attract, those millennials who might be buying their first home, who are the ones that, prefer to communicate through text, or they might see your post on Instagram versus, Facebook, which I guess isn't cool these days for the younger generation.
Hey, I still like Facebook. It's okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's always kind of been my go-to. I'm the most comfortable with that. I probably need to do a much better job with my Instagram and putting out some content and videos. But I used to do a lot of videos actually before COVID, and they're still posted on my business page on Facebook, but they would always be somewhat funny or entertaining. And very rarely did they have to do with insurance. I would tie it into insurance as like a corny tagline.
I love that though.
If you go back and look, like I
feel like I've seen one or two.
Yeah, I have like a football video, a baseball, a soccer, what else? A boxing video, a basketball video. And it was a great time. And I would do like a giveaway or a drawing, I would dangle a carrot out there for someone to watch the video or share it or comment. So I need to get back into doing that. You're actually motivating me to get back into some marketing and think out of the box a little bit.
Well, I'm sure you're going to have no issue coming up with ideas. Because like I said, I just see you posting stuff all the time. But no, it's not for the faint of heart though. Like it's a lot of work just to do like a 60-second reel. I mean, I don't take it on the first shot. Like
so
usually,
do you do all this yourself, or do you have some like a videographer that you work with at all? You do it all yourself?
I have it all myself. Well, also I don't have a massive budget, and that's also why I think folks that are new to the industry need to be capitalizing on all the free social media, because if you can reach a huge audience for free on Instagram or on Facebook or on YouTube Shorts. And you don't have to pay anything. So for someone like me, who's still, I'm going into my second year of real estate, I can put that money elsewhere, whether it be like the photography I have to do for a listing, or if I want to, donate money, to someplace else or whatever it may be. I don't know. Wherever I can save money, I want to.
And even doing like boosted posts on Facebook.
Yeah, and that's not that expensive either.
No, I mean, you can set your budget, whatever you want to spend per day, and it'll give you an approximate number of people that you're reaching. And, you can narrow it down within proximity of your office. You can narrow it down by age range, by job title, by income. I mean, there's so many crazy things you can do now where you can really dial in your target market.
Yeah.
And, anybody who sells like print ads is probably going to hate me right now for saying this, but I mean, I get offered, and I do some print ads. I have relationships with magazines and things like that. I'll do it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I might spend $1,000 for like a half-page ad
Mm-hmm.
that I have no idea who it's reaching or if it's having any impact on anybody. But I could take that same $1,000 and boost a Facebook post that I can pick who I
Yep.
want to see it.
Your exact demographic and
And I can
location.
target and dial in who I want to see. And that's always been kind of my dilemma and my thing. I'd much rather do something that I can control on who sees it versus it being kind of a crapshoot where you might put an ad out in the paper or something. So
No, I completely agree. Like you, I have an ad in a magazine, which I like because it's literally in Cave Spring and Hunting Hills. So
I
that's
saw that. I saw that
you
actually. You
did.
were in like one of the first ones that came out, I
Yay.
think. Yeah, that's
Okay.
great. Yeah.
But I did do that. And I mean, gonna be honest, I haven't seen anything from it. What I have seen after being consistent with the social media piece of it, I actually got a lead from someone in Indiana. They're looking to relocate back here, and they don't have to sell anything. First time home buyers, and it's probably going to be in January, February timeframe. So it's going to be a relationship I need to nurture and everything. But I was like, I know you saw me from Instagram, but how did you see me? And she was like, I just saw you on a reel. I was just searching Roanoke Realtor and, you came up. And I was like, this is amazing because that's not something that I have to pay any type of referral fee on. And
Right.
she looked at my page and clearly somehow connects with me personally, which that's the other thing. Like, I want to be able to connect with people kind of like-minded because they might not understand my humor. If not saying anyone who doesn't understand my humor can't work with me, but it just kind of builds that rapport a little bit more. Like, I want to show, like, hey, I am a mom to a crazy toddler too. I have a zoo at home. Like, you connecting with people, being a dad and working full-time and being local to the industry, like local to the area, not industry. But I don't know.
And that's such a game changer when you start getting those calls and those leads that are unexpected, because it's like, okay, now it's starting to work a little bit. And
Mm-hmm.
that's honestly like the first question that I train my staff when somebody calls. One of the very first questions we ask is, how did you hear about us? Because we
Yeah,
track that. It's so important to track how people are hearing about you so you know where to target your marketing efforts, right?
exactly.
It makes no sense for me to dump a couple $1,000s into something that I never get any return on my investment on. But if I know that, putting money into my Google My Business account and posting ads on Google and people are calling me saying, hey, I found you on Google, I read your reviews, that's where you know where to put your money towards
Mm-hmm.
ultimately. So
Well, I mean, the more reviews you have and good reviews you have, I'm sure you do this. Like, I look anytime I go on Amazon or wherever I'm going to buy something, I'm like, all right, how many reviews does it have? And how many, actually are good and not just robots? Because then that makes me feel more comfortable. Like, okay, I'm actually going to receive what they're marketing and what they're selling to me. Um,
right.
But so I do have kind of a random curveball question that I was thinking of, just that I jogged my memory of with you having kids and being a dad and working full time. So are you going to try to get any of your kiddos into this business, working and taking over your company one day? Is that the goal or not necessarily?
We'll see. We'll see. I'm going to leave it open to them, but that's kind of the beauty of what I'm doing now is because I own my business, I own my agency, I own my book of business, and so I have options when it comes to what I want to do down the road. If one
Mm,
of my kids wants to take it over, then great. I'm happy to kind of train them from the ground up and teach them how to run it. I'm not going to force them to do that if that's not the path they want to take. But there's a lot of agency owners that really and truly just take a step back and they never sell their agency, but they just kind of manage it from afar and they have office managers that run it for them.
mm-hmm.
I could do that, or I could just sell it altogether. If I wanted to get out of the insurance business altogether when it comes to the time I want to retire, I have that option as well. So that's kind of the nice thing is having that ownership with options on what I want to do. But
Yeah,
it's
you can
certainly
fully decide.
having 3 kids who, if that's the route they choose down the road and they want to get into it, then, I love that. That would be great. Keep on the
Or
family name.
or they can be your social media content creator.
That
Take that
too,
off
which
your
is
plate.
needed badly for sure.
Maybe your 7-year-old could do that now. I don't know.
If I had to pinpoint any of my kids right now who would be the most likely to take it over, it would be my 7-year-old. She's our wild card. Like she's a wild shot. I mean, she's great, but I could see her like just being a CEO of a company one day. Like she speaks her mind and she
Awesome.
sticks to it. It's great. It's kind of great to see the different personalities they all have.
Now, does she get that from you or from your wife or a combo?
I'd like to say me. It's probably a combo.
That's probably a smart answer if your wife
Right.
sees this. So
It's being recorded, so right,
yeah,
I gotta
it is. It's going to be
save
out there for everyone. Oh my gosh. Well, I know you have more than enough on your plate. So I don't want to take up any more of your time, but where can all the people find you on social media?
Yeah. So our business page, you can just type in Bill Meador Insurance Agency. I try to communicate with anybody the way their preferred method of communication. So whether that be if someone sends me a Facebook message, you're more than welcome. We do a lot of business over Facebook Messenger, believe it or not. If someone wants to text us, we have an office texting number. We have my personal cell texting number, and then our office phone number or email. So the biggest thing to do, or the best thing to do, is just type in Bill Meador Insurance Agency either on Facebook or Google, and you'll find all of our contact information and any means to communicate with us. And whether it be myself or any of my team members, we're here Monday through Friday from 8:30 to 5. But one of the benefits of having a local agent is if you run into those situations outside of normal business hours where you need to get something done, you can always reach out to me anytime. I mean, I'm sure like you, we work nonstop,
Oh, yeah.
So
Oh, yeah. It's not a 9 to 5.
right. And we really pride ourselves on not being a 1-800 number where you might have to call somebody in a call center and be on hold for 15 minutes. And that person might be located in California or India or wherever they may be. So we are live people, local people who know our clients on a name basis, face-to-face basis, instead of just referring to them as a policy number. So.
Awesome. Well, I'll make sure in the show notes here, I will add the website and every place that they can find you too. So just to make sure, but
Yeah,
it was awesome getting to catch up with you, Bill. And guys, stay tuned. Have a lot of fun guests coming up in the next couple weeks. And, thanks for joining, whether it's morning, day, or night. Thanks for joining Real Estate Unfiltered. Have a good one.
thanks for having me.